To make me take the blame for Emily Thompson, my parents pushed the crime onto me in front of everyone. My brother poisoned my throat so I couldn't defend myself, and my fiancé broke my hands and legs to prevent me from escaping. I was sent to prison for 5 years, and they just said lightly, "This is the price you pay for taking Ashley's life for 20 years. I was completely heartbroken. After being released from prison, I was respectful to them. But I didn't expect them to break down in tears in front of me, begging me to look at them again. Number 15623, go out and be a good person. With the sound of the iron gate opening, I couldn't help but raise my hand to shield my eyes from the dazzling sunlight. For nearly 2,000 days and nights, I could hardly feel the existence of the sun. Amanda Smith, are you done pretending? Hurry up and get over here. The familiar voice made me feel cold all over. The moment I lowered my hand, I saw the person I least wanted to see in this life. My brother, Michael Johnson, once declared to the world that I was his most beloved sister and promised to protect me for a lifetime of peace and happiness. Even after the truth about my and Emily Thompson's birth was revealed, he still repeatedly assured me that he would love me as before. But when Emily Thompson turned Benjamin Brown into a vegetable, he didn't hesitate to push me out to take the blame, and even personally poisoned me with the drug that silenced my voice. I was beaten, insulted, and questioned by the Song family, but I could only try to open my mouth and make some useless whimpers. Before I could speak, Michael Johnson rushed over. He was stunned for a moment when he saw the wound on my forehead, and then gave me a contemptuous look. What? You're using this kind of trick to pretend to be pitiful? Amanda Smith, aren't you ashamed? Pitiful? How dare I expect this brother who made me take the blame and personally poisoned me to pity me? Moreover, weren't these injuries the lessons they specifically told people to give me in this prison? I opened my mouth, and the after effects made my voice as hoarse and unpleasant as an old woman's. No need. I can walk myself. A look of surprise flashed across Michael Johnson's face. He didn't seem to expect that his sister, who used to be so spoiled that she would ask him to drive her even 500 meters, would now be so resistant to him. But soon, Michael Johnson sneered and said contemptuously, "Amanda Smith, I advise you to stop making trouble. You took Ashley's life for 20 years. This is what you should atone for." After saying that, he didn't say anything more and grabbed my hand to walk towards the car. I was dragged to the front of the car. Seeing his tough attitude, I finally let go of my clenched hand. This prison was specially chosen for me by the Song family. The prisoners were vicious, and the location was remote, so no one could find me. If I didn't go with them, it would take me 3 hours to see anyone. Seeing the open back door, I didn't hesitate to open the passenger seat door. The driver, Uncle Walter, was taken aback and said cautiously, "Miss Serena, you should sit in the back with the young master." I said in a hoarse voice, "Someone as lowly as me doesn't deserve to sit next to young Master Lynn." Amanda Smith. Michael Johnson's face turned cold, with undisguised anger on his face. "Get over here now. If you're going to be so pretentious, go back yourself." Meeting Uncle Walter's embarrassed eyes, I gritted my teeth and still opened the car door to get into the back seat. The car started quickly. Seeing me looking out the window in silence, Uncle Walter quickly tried to ease the atmosphere and said, "Miss Serena, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson miss you very much. When you go home, you can have a good reunion." Miss me? Recalling how my parents insisted that I had injured Benjamin Brown and said that I owed Emily Thompson this. Why would they want to see me again? I lowered my eyes and said softly, "Uncle Walter, just drop me off at the next bus stop. I'm not a daughter of the Lynn family, and the Lynn family is not my home either." As soon as I finished speaking, Michael Johnson suddenly shouted, "Stop the car!" Screech! With a loud noise. The car braked suddenly, and my head hit the front seat hard before I could react. Before I could recover, the car door next to me was suddenly opened, and then a force kicked me hard in the side. In severe pain, my whole body fell out of the car uncontrollably. Amanda Smith, you don't know what's good for you, so get as far away from me as possible. Do you think the Lynn family needs you? I'm telling you, this is what you owe Ashley, what you owe the Lynn family. If you're going to put on a dead face, you might as well just die. With a loud bang, the car door was slammed shut, and the car sped away, leaving me alone in this deserted suburb. The pain spread little by little in my heart, but the tears had already dried up in the past 5 years, leaving only bitterness. I struggled to get up when a car suddenly stopped in front of me. The window rolled down, revealing a handsome face. After seeing that it was Daniel Green, I stood firm and walked straight forward without looking back. Seeming surprised by my indifference, Daniel Green frowned and called out, "Amanda Smith, stop. Get in the car. What is young Masterson doing here, looking for me instead of being with your fiancé?" I smiled sarcastically and pointed to the wounds on my hands and feet. Or are you afraid that my hands and feet have healed, and you're planning to break them again? Daniel Green and I grew up together. Although he was indifferent, he had a hint of gentleness only for me. I naively thought we were in love with each other until he learned that I was unwilling to take the blame for Emily Thompson. He didn't hesitate to break my legs with his own hands, and crushed my fingers one by one, and even giving me a chance to write. "Serena, this is what you owe Ashley. You shouldn't have run away." I cried, begged, and even knelt, hoping that he would soften his heart for a moment. But Daniel Green still chose to hand me over to the furious Song family, watching me being beaten and abused. He said that this was the sin I should repay. Sure enough, Daniel Green's face turned cold, and he said disgustedly, "Amanda Smith, after 5 years, I see that you still don't know how to repent. If you hadn't harmed Ashley, why would she have gone to that kind of place, and why would she have been forced to injure Benjamin Brown? A person like you deserves to die in prison. If Grandma Johnson wasn't seriously ill and wanted to see you, do you think I would care about a venomous woman like you?" I keenly caught a few words and immediately looked at Daniel Green and said, "What did you say? Grandma is seriously ill?" Daniel Green was stunned for a moment, and then said sarcastically, "Isn't it all your fault? 5 years ago, you committed evil and made Grandma Johnson so angry that she was hospitalized. Now she still wants to see you and insists on having someone pick you up." Ignoring Daniel Green's nonsense, I hurriedly got into the car and urged, "Take me to see Grandma quickly." Seeing how anxious I was, Daniel Green's face showed a hint of suppressed anger, but he still started the car. All the way, I was worried about Grandma's condition and didn't notice Daniel Green's increasingly low air pressure. As soon as the car stopped, I rushed out. But when I came to the outside of Grandma's hospital room, the hand that was about to push the door stopped at this moment. 5 years ago, everyone except my parents, brother, and Daniel Green thought that I had injured Benjamin Brown. Would Grandma believe me and still want to see me? "Is that Serena?" A voice came from inside the hospital room, and my eyes instantly turned red. I pushed the door open and threw myself on Grandma. "Grandma, it's me." Grandma kept touching my face, and tears couldn't stop flowing. Grandma knew that Serena would come to see me. "You've suffered these 5 years." I held back my tears and shook my head. "As long as I see Grandma, Serena won't suffer." Grandma grabbed my rough hand and couldn't help asking, "Serena, tell Grandma, did you hurt Benjamin Brown?" I knew what Grandma meant. She didn't believe that I would deliberately seduce Benjamin Brown and then hurt him. As long as I said no, she would try her best to seek justice for me. "Mom, who else could it be if not her?" A familiar voice came from outside the door. Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson walked in with Emily Thompson and Michael Johnson, and their faces showed a bit of unnaturalness when they saw me. Only she and Ashley were there at the time. If it wasn't her, could it be Ashley? It was she who took Ashley's place for 20 years. It's normal for her to want to climb the social ladder since she can't stand hardship. Grandma's expression turned cold when she heard this, and she scolded, "Don't talk nonsense. Even if Serena isn't your daughter, she's still my granddaughter. When I'm alive, I can make sure she has everything she needs, and I won't let her suffer even a bit after I die." Hearing this, Mrs. Johnson immediately threw her bag down and said angrily, "Mom, what do you mean by this? Ashley is your biological granddaughter. Are you going to give the money to an outsider?" Mr. Johnson also said, "That's right, Mom. Ashley is your biological granddaughter. It's fine if you take care of her usually. How can you just give this money away?" Michael Johnson looked at me even more angrily and said, "Amanda Smith, what kind of magic have you used on Grandma? I knew you should have died in this prison. What are you doing back here?" Words that pierced my heart fell on my ears, and disgust and hostility flooded towards me like a flood. A hint of joy flashed across Emily Thompson's face as she pulled Mrs. Johnson's hand and pleaded, "Mom, don't say that about Sister. Sister has just come out of prison." Before Emily Thompson could finish speaking, Grandma scolded, "Enough. Was it Serena who wanted to be switched? Ask yourselves, where did the Sue family parents mistreat Ashley? They even gave their lives to save her. Serena is alone now. If you don't love her, I will. If you continue to argue, I will have someone investigate what happened with this imprisonment." Mentioning this matter, a trace of unnaturalness flashed across the faces of several people. Seeing that they were not speaking, Grandma's face darkened even more. "Soon it will be my birthday. I'm bringing Serena to my birthday party so everyone in Los Angeles will know. My Serena is loved by someone." Mr. and Mrs. Johnson wanted to stop her, but Grandma scolded them. After driving them away, Grandma gently patted my hand and said, "Serena, don't be afraid. Grandma is here." To prevent the Lynn family from harming me again, Grandma was discharged from the hospital and took me back to the old family estate. During this period, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson kept contacting me, and even Michael Johnson and Ryan Black sent me messages, warning me not to reveal what happened back then. "Amanda Smith, Grandma is old. You don't want her to be stimulated and see her grandchildren fighting each other, do you?" Because of the frequent harassment, I kept recalling the torture I suffered in prison over the past 5 years. Being abused, being forced to eat food stepped on the ground, and even almost losing my virginity several times. In countless breakdowns and pain, I repeatedly questioned myself whether I was wrong, and even cried whenever I thought about it. But now I understand. I will not tell what happened back then. With my parents testifying against me to clear Emily Thompson's name, and Benjamin Brown becoming a vegetable, no one will believe me. They might even pu the blame onto Grandma. Let's just treat it as an exchange for taking Emily Thompson's life for 20 years. Soon it was Grandma Johnson's birthday party. I looked at myself in the mirror. A green long dress was gentle and moving, but my bare shoulders and arms were covered with shocking scars. I put on a coat to cover the scars, then opened the door and went downstairs with Grandma. Many people had already arrived at the birthday party. Seeing Grandma busy greeting guests, I took the initiative to step aside. I was just about to find a deserted place to sit when I turned around and spilled wine on my dress. Seeing the person apologize repeatedly, I waved my hand to indicate that it was okay and went to the room to change my clothes. But as soon as I entered the hallway, I saw Emily Thompson waiting there. "Sister, today is Grandma's birthday party. I have also prepared a gift for you." I subconsciously took a step back, but a nightmare-like voice sounded from behind me. "Good sister, it's been a long time since we met. Come and catch up with your brother." My body froze in place, and a face that had appeared in my nightmares countless times now reappeared before my eyes. I stepped forward to run, but my hand was tightly grabbed, and my mouth was tightly covered. A sticky and disgusting breath surrounded my neck, but Emily Thompson looked proud. Amanda Smith, you escaped from prison back then. Now let's see how you escape. I resisted desperately, but my stomach was hit hard, and I was dragged into the room. I struggled hard, and Michael Johnson's voice happened to sound outside the door. Ashley, Serena didn't come here. Why didn't I see her? A hint of joy flashed in my eyes, but Tyler White, behind me, grabbed my hand tightly. What's wrong, miss? Do you look down on a rough man like me? You hid from me in prison, now let's see who can save you. Once you become my woman, you have to accept this fate. I knew I couldn't beat Tyler White, so I used all my strength to grab the table lamp next to me and smashed it hard against the door. The huge crashing sound attracted the attention of Michael Johnson and Ryan Black. What's going on? Who's in this room? The doorknob turned, and my breathing couldn't help but become rapid. The next second, Emily Thompson said, "It's sister." Just now, I wanted to ease my relationship with my sister, but she said that I was just lucky to be found. She also said that it was all my fault, otherwise, she would still be a proper Lynn family Mississippi. Brother, Owen, shouldn't I have come back? So even when I wanted to talk to my sister, she would rather lock herself in the room? I was crying and begging them not to believe it. They grew up with me and should know that I would never say these things to Emily Thompson. But the voice from outside the door made me feel like I had fallen into an ice cellar. She's the one who shouldn't have come back. Does she think that no one can know about what she was doing in prison? This was the brother who used to love me to the bone. She took your life, so it's shameless of her. What's the point of acting like the whole world owes her after sitting in prison for 5 years? It's a good thing her parents died early, otherwise, they would have wished they had strangled their daughter to death as soon as she was born if they knew she was like this. How can a parasite be worthy of saying these things to you? Don't worry, Uncle Lynn and Aunt Lynn have already said that even if Grandma Johnson objects, they will drive her out. This was the fiancé who kept saying that I was his only treasure. Now, they were all blaming me. Blaming me for still staying with Grandma, even though I was a fake heiress. Blaming me for taking the blame for Emily Thompson for 5 years, and thinking that I had paid off the past 20 years of my life. And even more blaming me, why I still had to appear in front of them after being trampled on by them. Look, they all want you to die. Tyler White hugged me tightly, revealing blatant malice. Just be obedient and everything will be fine, right? Why are you still going to endure everything that happened in prison? A simple sentence suddenly evoked those unbearable memories of mine. Being pushed down on by countless people, unable to distinguish whose hands they were, and unable to recognize the people in front of me. I only remembered that every inch of my body was touched by dirty hands. They dragged my feet, and instead of being deterred by my screams, they became even prouder. They said that I was born dirty, so how dare I dislike them? I was pushed to the ground, and Tyler White was pressing against me, his body squirming disgustingly. Just as he was about to tear off the last inch of clothing on my body, I reached out and grabbed the glass shard next to me, then stabbed it hard into his neck. Blood splattered on my face, and Tyler White screamed in pain. I seemed to be cursed, letting the glass shards pierce my hand, stabbing into Tyler White's body one by one. The room door was slammed open, and Michael Johnson and Ryan Black hurriedly tried to pull me away, but they scratched me in the face. I cowered, looking at them with fear. Get out! Get out, all of you! Get out! Michael Johnson was just about to say something when his eyes fell on the scars on my exposed skin, and he suddenly lost his voice. Serena, the scars on your body. Why don't you get out? I grabbed the cup next to me and smashed it at them, staring at them with dead eyes. Aren't you satisfied yet? Aren't you satisfied that you've hurt me like this? Do you have to force me to die now before you'll let me go? Ryan Black stepped forward to stop my near self-harming behavior, but I opened my mouth and bit his arm hard. Blood flowed out, and Emily Thompson's face suddenly changed. Owen, your hand. Let go. Ryan Black pushed Emily Thompson away, letting me bite his arm, trying to restrain his trembling. Serena, Serena, don't be afraid. I'm here, I'm with you, let's calm down, okay? Emily Thompson was pushed to the ground, her hands cut by shards of glass. She wanted to grab Michael Johnson, but Michael Johnson went past her, carefully trying to hold my hand, but trembling and daring not to touch it. Serena, Serena, it's okay now. Brother will take you to treat your wounds, okay? But I didn't care, and slashed at the two of them with the glass shards in my hand. The commotion was too loud, attracting many people to gather around. Grandma came over with a doctor, her loving voice choked with sobs. Serena, it's Grandma. I looked at Grandma in a daze, and the doctor on the side injected a sedative into my body. In just a moment, I completely lost consciousness. I had a dream. In the dream were countless faces, each with a different expression. Mom held me gently, saying that Serena was her most beloved baby. But in the blink of an eye, she glared at me fiercely. Why did you switch places with Ashley? I explained urgently that it wasn't me, grabbing Dad's hand and begging him to help me explain to Mom. But the look in Dad's eyes changed from loving to cold and unfamiliar. He pushed me to the ground, saying disgustedly, if I had known you were so vicious, I should have strangled you to death when you were born. I cried and begged everyone I saw, my brother, my fiancé, the housekeeper. But everyone believed that it was all my fault, and they all pushed me into a bottomless pool. Snakes with forked tongues surged towards me. I tried desperately to climb up, but the pool was smooth, and the familiar faces on the shore were all looking at me coldly with wooden sticks in their hands. It seemed that as long as I climbed up a little, they would all beat me down. Tears fell from the corners of my eyes. When I opened my eyes, I was in a room full of white. Serena. The moment I heard this voice, I panicked and rolled off the hosp. I tall bed with the quilt, even pulling out the needle in my hand. Go away! Get out, all of you! Get away from me! I cowered in the corner, looking at Michael Johnson and his group in fear. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson rarely had a hint of guilt on their faces. Mrs. Johnson asked cautiously, Serena, I'm Mom. Don't be afraid of us, okay? Tell Mom, the scars on your body. Shut up! I couldn't help but pick up the vase on the table and smash it at them, staring at them with dead eyes. Isn't it enough? Isn't it enough that I'm like this? Did I want to be switched? Did I force Emily Thompson to hurt people? Why won't you let me go? Emily Thompson killed my biological parents on a whim, and you ruined my life. Did our family owe your Lynn family something in our previous life? Everyone was stunned in place. Michael Johnson looked at me blankly and said, Serena, do you hate us? I'm your brother, Serena. I'm not the brother who poisoned his sister's voice and sent her to prison to take the blame. I roared, unconsciously putting my finger to my mouth and biting it hard. No. No. Emily Thompson happened to come in and said, crying, Sister, I know it was my fault back then. But brother and parents were just worried that I was weak and couldn't stand the hardships of prison. Enough! Ryan Black's face turned cold, and the look in his eyes when he looked at Emily Thompson was cold for the first time. Didn't I tell you not to appear in front of Serena? Why are you still provoking her? Get out! You're the ones who should get out. Grandma pushed Emily Thompson aside and immediately rushed to my side to hug me and comfort me. Serena, don't be afraid. Grandma is here. I nodded repeatedly, crying and hiding behind Grandma. Grandma, I'm scared. Grandma carefully covered my head with the quilt, blocking those gazes looking at me. Are you just hoping for Serena to die? 5 years ago, when I was sick, you kept it from me and sent Serena to prison without a word. Now, 5 years later, Serena has finally come out, and you still want to force her like this. I'm old, but I'm not confused. I will investigate this matter to the end and see whose fault it is. Hearing what Grandma meant, Emily Thompson became anxious. Grandma, aren't I your granddaughter? I just want the truth. What are you afraid of? Grandma glared at Emily Thompson, saying unceremoniously, Serena is someone I watched grow up. If you want to bully her, step over my old bones first. Get out, all of you. The bodyguards who came with them also politely reached out. Everyone, please listen to the old lady. After driving them all away, the entire hospital room was finally quiet again. Grandma carefully lifted the quilt and helped me tidy my messy hair. Serena, Grandma is still here. She stroked the scars on my arm, and tears fell drop by drop. It must hurt a lot. I hugged Grandma, shaking my head hard. You don't have to say it if you don't want to. Grandma comforted me, her tone suddenly becoming firm. Grandma will get you justice. Rest and heal your wounds during this time. Once the wounds are healed, everything will be over. Grandma wanted to hide it from me and handle everything, but I still heard some news from the nurse. I heard that Tyler White disappeared for 3 days and nights for no reason before being sent to the police station. Afterwards, he was found lying at the entrance of the police station, covered in injuries. At the same time, an anonymous letter with evidence of his undiscovered crimes over the years appeared in the mailbox of the police chief. After Tyler White woke up, he clamored to sue me for intentional injury, but in the end, it was ruled that I was acting in self-defense. The people who bullied me in this prison and were later released were also arrested again on other charges. And the prison guards who condoned them to do all this were also sent in for multiple crimes, including dereliction of duty. After doing all this, the Lynn family and Ryan Black came to the outside of the hospital room again. With the bodyguards blocking them, they couldn't come in and could only kneel and repent at the door. Serena, it was our negligence. We didn't know you suffered so much in prison. We thought we were just letting you go in for 5 years. We told them to take good care of you. But I don't know why. Don't know? Sitting on the hospital bed, I found it more and more ridiculous to listen to such clumsy excuses. Do you not know? Or are you unwilling to admit it? Who exactly could have done those things to me under your orders? I'm not a member of the Lynn family anymore. You don't have to pretend in front of me. Michael Johnson and the others were unwilling and still wanted to explain. But I directly smashed the cup at the hospital room door. I told you to get out. I've become like this, suffered so much. Isn't it all your fault? They harmed me, but isn't the most direct reason you? After driving them all away, I bit my fingers, the resentment and anger in my heart almost burning me completely. I desperately restrained my impulses, telling myself it was okay. Originally, I was prepared to accept these 5 years in prison, just as repayment for the 20 years of being raised. But Emily Thompson shouldn't have brought Tyler White, shouldn't have tried to ruin my whole life. The switch was a nurse's mistake, but my biological parents, although not as rich and powerful as the Lynn family, were still well off. What's more, my parents lost their lives because of Emily Thompson's momentary willfulness, and I served 5 years in prison for her, enduring so much infamy. Why should I still be blamed by them? They are unwilling to punish Emily Thompson. I will personally seek justice for myself. No one knew that 5 years ago, I had a cloud drive backup of the surveillance camera outside the room hallway where Emily Thompson and Benjamin Brown were arguing. I didn't have time to take it out then, and later I didn't want to, but now it was time to make a move. The Song family hated me to the bone. With a little seduction, I quickly arranged a meeting with Mrs. Miller. But to my surprise, Emily Thompson appeared before me, arm in arm with Jack Miller, the Song family's second young master. Sister, why are you so reckless? This thing was sent right to me. Emily Thompson held up the USB drive, showing off to me triumphantly. I looked at Jack Miller, my hand clenching involuntarily. 5 years ago, was this all planned? Jack Miller smiled contemptuously and put his arm around Emily Thompson's shoulders. Of course. How else would I get the position of heir to the Song family? How else could Emily Thompson get rid of you? With me here, you want to clear your name? Impossible. Emily Thompson walked up to me, disdainfully. Sister, I advise you to get out of Los Angeles obediently. Otherwise, not only you, but I won't let that old woman go either. After saying this, Emily Thompson and Jack Miller turned and left. I let go of my hand and said coldly, following me for so long, aren't you going to come out? Michael Johnson and Ryan Black appeared before me. Michael Johnson spoke first. Serena, I was wrong about this. Even if Mom and Dad don't allow it, I will help you get justice. Ryan Black also nodded, clenching his fists. I'll take care of things on the Song family's side. You? I sneered, sarcastically. I can't wait for you. Look at your phones. The two were stunned for a moment, then opened their phones, and a news notification popped up. Country X expert arrives. Benjamin Brown to wake up soon. Serena, don't you trust us? Michael Johnson looked at me in disbelief, as if he had never imagined that I used to rely on him for everything, but now I had done such a big thing on my own. I didn't answer, picked up my bag, and turned to leave. From the beginning, I had not placed my hopes on that USB drive with the surveillance footage, although Michael Johnson and the others testified at the time. But the Song family wasn't stupid either. I was beaten and abused until I couldn't speak or write, and the other person with me happened to be the Lin family's real daughter. Who wouldn't be suspicious? But I waited 5 years, suffered 5 years of torment, and no one in the Song family suspected anything. I began to suspect that someone was interfering, and that person could only be from the Song family. It just so happened that in this prison, I unintentionally helped a little girl. That little girl, like me, had been framed. I helped her preserve the key evidence and allowed her to contact her uncle abroad. It just so happened that her uncle was Dr. Lawson, a medical expert from Country X, specializing in illnesses like Benjamin Brown's. But Lawson was eccentric and reclusive, so the Song family couldn't hire him. Because I helped his niece, he finally agreed to come to the country. The USB drive was just a cover to divert their attention, to prevent them from taking desperate measures against Lawson. I just didn't expect Emily Thompson to be more anxious than I thought, so much so that when I heard from Grandma Johnson that Emily Thompson had run away, I couldn't react. Emily Thompson did it? Faced with my disbelief, Grandma Johnson nodded. Benjamin Brown is about to wake up. How could she sit still and wait for death? But this matter is so important that she doesn't dare to let anyone else do it. So, she simply had the Song family's second young master transfer the bodyguards away and sneaked into the intensive care unit to do it herself. Fortunately, Michael Johnson and Ryan Black happened to be visiting Benjamin Brown and stopped Emily Thompson in time. How could it be them? I stood there stunned, looking blankly at Grandma Johnson. Aren't they always the most doting on Emily Thompson? If this matter is exposed, even if Emily Thompson doesn't die, the Song family won't let her off easily. Grandma Johnson sighed and shook her head. No one knows why. In her panic, Emily Thompson stabbed David directly. Even Ryan Black's hand was cut. Serena, are you going to see them? I stood there for a long time, then shook my head. No need. Besides Grandma Johnson, I don't want to see any of them. I thought it would end like this. But one day, as I was falling asleep, a sudden, intense dizziness came over me. When I woke up, I found myself tied to a chair. The surroundings were dilapidated, clearly an abandoned warehouse. Looking up, it was indeed Emily Thompson. But the current Emily Thompson didn't have half the smugness and flaunting as before, but instead looked at me with hatred. Amanda Smith, why don't you just die? How did you survive those 5 years in prison? My hands were chafed raw by the rough hemp rope, but I endured it without saying a word. Why? Emily Thompson, I ask myself, I have never done anything to wrong you. Why do you keep clinging to me? The title of Lynn family daughter, the fiancé of the Shin family heir, everything you wanted. Didn't you already get it? Why do you have to keep thinking about making me die? Hearing this, Emily Thompson raised her head and couldn't help but sneer. Why? Of course, it's because you never left my life. I am the real Lynn family daughter. But Mom and Dad even took you in and adopted you, treating you as they always had. With you, how would anyone see me? Even more so with my brother and Ryan Black. Do you know why they wanted you to take the blame for me? Because I told them that as long as you took the blame for me, I could accept you as a Lynn family daughter just like me, and give you the engagement as well. If I hadn't said that, they wouldn't have been willing to let you take the blame for me at all. But why? Emily Thompson looked at me resentfully, her eyes full of malice. You owe me this. I originally thought that after 5 years, they would have forgotten about this. But they all kept thinking about picking you up. They even wanted me to fulfill my promise. Amanda Smith, you blame me for finding Tyler White to ruin you. But if they hadn't forced me, how could I have resorted to such a measure? If you want to blame someone, blame them. I didn't expect the truth to be like this, and my hand clenched involuntarily. So, what are you going to do now? What am I going to do? Emily Thompson laughed as she spoke, putting the dagger against my cheek and saying softly, naturally, I'm going to use you as a hostage to get money to run away. Mom and Dad, my brother, and Owen won't help me get rid of the crime. I can only run far away. 300 million, I'm not asking for much, am I? Jack Miller walked out from the side, impatiently urging, why are you talking so much nonsense to her? Just kill her if they don't give it. I don't believe they can watch her die. I glanced around and then sneered. They could watch me be put in prison. How would they be willing to spend 300 million to save me? If worst comes to worst, we'll die together. If I remember correctly, Jack Miller, you're just an illegitimate child, right? Mrs. Miller generously recognized you and brought you back to the Song family, but you repaid kindness with revenge. You'd probably rather die in this prison. Shut up! Jack Miller kicked me directly to the ground, my arm landing on shards of broken glass, instantly drawing bright red blood. What are you saying, you bitch? William Davis is the Song family's son, am I not? Why can he inherit and I can't? Just wait, I'll kill that William Davis sooner or later. Emily Thompson, who was on the side, was frightened and couldn't help but scold. Are you crazy? If you kill her, how will we get the money? Jack Miller didn't care at all and glanced at his phone. What's th? Rush? Seeing her like this will only make them more anxious. Look, isn't someone coming? As soon as he finished speaking, the warehouse door was suddenly opened. Michael Johnson and the others appeared before me, looking at Jack Miller and Emily Thompson with livid faces. I've brought the money. Michael Johnson spoke first. Where's Serena? Jack Miller took a few steps to the side, revealing me covered in blood. Serena! Mrs. Johnson immediately became anxious and looked at Emily Thompson in disbelief. Emily Thompson, no matter what, she's still your sister. Do you have to be so cruel to her? Does she deserve it? Emily Thompson looked at Mr. and Mrs. Johnson resentfully, holding the dagger to my neck. The Lynn family can only have one daughter. So what if her parents died? Isn't it right for them to raise me and die for me? Why should she take your attention? You want to send me to prison for this bitch? Dream on. Ryan Black was much calmer. He stopped Mrs. Johnson, who still wanted to speak. Jack Miller, Emily Thompson, what you want is all here. Cash, gold bars, and unregistered bank cards. Give you the things, quickly release Serena. At Jack Miller's gesture, Ryan Black and Michael Johnson checked each item for authenticity. After confirming that everything was real, the smile on Jack Miller's face grew. Humph, I didn't expect you to value this bitch so much. But in addition to this, I also want the car you drove here. Oh, right, it's best to have those cops outside move away, too. Otherwise, I can't guarantee Amanda Smith's safety. Under the coercion of Jack Miller and Emily Thompson, everyone slowly moved to the side of the car. Just as the police were being moved away, at the critical moment of handing over the person and the money, Emily Thompson suddenly pulled out a dagger and stabbed Michael Johnson's hand. The box was snatched away, and Jack Miller took the opportunity to grab me and shove me into the trunk. In chaos, the two of them drove away with me. Emily Thompson flipped through the gold bars and jewelry in the box, her face showing a mixture of joy and jealousy. I didn't expect this bitch to be worth so much money. Now that we've got the money, what do we do with this bitch? Jack Miller glanced at me, tightly bound in the passenger seat, and snorted. Of course, we can't move now, otherwise the police won't let us go. Once we're on the boat and there are no police, we'll just throw her into the sea and be done with it. I was shocked, not expecting that they never intended to let me go. I hid a piece of broken porcelain in my palm and pressed it against my hand, drawing blood, but I could only hold my breath and desperately cut at the ropes. Seeing that we were getting closer and closer to the sea, I aimed for a turn and slammed into Jack Miller. The steering wheel was thrown off course, and with a loud crash, the entire car crashed into the mountainside. My forehead, arms, and legs were all covered in blood, and even my vision seemed to be covered in a layer of blood mist. I struggled to open the car door and staggered out. Emily Thompson and Jack Miller were covered in blood, trapped in the mangled car door, reaching out to me. Save me, please, please. Gasoline dripped all over the ground, and there was a risk of explosion at any moment. I stood in the distance and said softly, "Bang." The next moment, the car exploded, sending out a huge wave of fire that engulfed everything in an instant. As the flames soared into the sky, I collapsed softly. When I woke up again, I was in a familiar hospital room. Grandma Johnson rushed to my side, looking at me with a pained expression. "Serena, how do you feel?" I nodded and said in a hoarse voice, "I'm okay, Grandma Johnson." Grandma Johnson held me in her arms and sighed. "It's all over. When you get better, Grandma Johnson will take you away from here. How about going to San Diego, which you've always wanted to go to? Grandma Johnson is old and just wants to see Serena healthy." My eyes were sore, and I hugged Grandma Johnson back, gently agreeing. The Lynn family's familial relationships were already weak, otherwise, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson and Michael Johnson wouldn't have watched Grandma Johnson get sick and insisted on sending me to prison to take the blame for Emily Thompson. Now that the truth had come out, Grandma Johnson was only filled with disappointment in them. During my time recovering in the hospital, I also learned what happened after I fell into a coma. Emily Thompson and Jack Miller died in the fire, and I heard that the Song family didn't even want to claim their bodies. Michael Johnson and the others also vomited blood for no reason and went to the hospital for examination, only to find out that they had been given chronic poison all along. In the end, a servant of the Lynn family was caught, and it was learned that from the day I was released from prison, Emily Thompson had given him a package of medicine to put in the food, claiming it was a secret medicine for nourishing the body. The Lynn family's doting and love for Emily Thompson were well known, so the servant didn't suspect much. Who would have thought it was chronic poison? Probably from the moment she picked me up from prison, Emily Thompson had the intention of letting them die and take over the Lynn family. It was only because I revealed the truth 5 years ago that Emily Thompson's plan failed. Even so, after the doctor's diagnosis, they were still told with regret that the damage caused by the poison was irreversible, which meant that they would have to endure the pain and sequelae caused by these injuries for the rest of their lives. I knew that they had tried to meet me several times, but they were all stopped by the bodyguards Grandma Johnson sent. Until the night before Grandma Johnson and I were about to leave Los Angeles, I sent Grandma Johnson away and, for once, agreed to meet with the Lynn family and Ryan Black. Serena, you're willing to see us. Does that finally mean you're willing to forgive us? Mr. Johnson looked at me anxiously and spoke. San Diego is humid, not as prosperous as Los Angeles. Isn't it better to stay in Los Angeles and be the Lynn family's daughter? Mrs. Johnson nodded repeatedly, choking with sobs. Serena, you're our daughter. Michael Johnson looked pale, and his gaze still held a glimmer of hope. Serena, it's all in the past, isn't it? Ryan Black even knelt on one knee urgently, presenting the ring in his hand to me. Serena, have you forgotten? This is the ring we designed together. We said we would use it when we got married. I took a step back, and the past love, hate, anger, and resentment now only left me indifferent. Even now, you still don't understand. What I care about is never the title of Lynn family daughter or the future mistress of the Shin family. Emily Thompson was right, I'm just an imposter. You want to drive me away, you want to break off the engagement with me, that's all okay. But you shouldn't have, in the name of loving me, done things that even my enemies wouldn't do. Let the 5 years of torment and pain be enough to pay off those 20 years. From now on, let's not meet again, and let's not have any contact. I picked up the box, walked straight past everyone, and walked out the door without looking back. Behind me were stifled sobs, and in front of me, not far away, was Grandma Johnson, standing in front of the car, smiling at me kindly. The plane streaked across the sky, taking away everything from the past. Grandma Johnson and I officially settled in San Diego. The small courtyard of the mansion was transformed into a flower field, next to which were vegetable seedlings planted together. All kinds of fruit trees were planted on the mountain behind the mansion, and in our spare time, Grandma Johnson and I would take the adopted puppy for walks on the beach, and when we felt like it, we would travel around. Snow peaks, volcanoes, rainforests, we saw different sides of the world together, and in the 7th year, Grandma Johnson and I went to Canada together. The cold wind howled on the cruise ship, and a news alert lit up on my phone. 3 years after the death of the chairman of Lynn Enterprise, Michael Johnson, the heir to Lynn Enterprise, was hospitalized again due to illness, declaring that all his property would be donated to the Serena Foundation under his name to help ordinary people who have been wronged and need legal assistance. It is reported that the Serena Foundation was jointly founded by Lynn Enterprise and Shin Enterprise. Serena, what's wrong? Noticing my distraction, Grandma Johnson asked with concern. I shook my head, dimmed the phone screen, and pointed into the distance. Grandma Johnson, look quickly, it's the aurora. Brilliant spots of light spread out like ribbons, like bringing ancient gospel. I leaned on Grandma Johnson, and tomorrow would be a new day. Her roommates were completely disoriented, asking Ava who she was going to have lunch with. You two should go, Jake suddenly said from the side. Ryan and I are going. Everyone turned to look at him. Why? Ava asked unhappily. She had finally gotten the chance to date, and her Monday classes were so full. I need to talk to him, Jake said, pulling Ryan in his direction. See you next time. Before Ava could say anything, she glared at their retreating backs, unable to calm down. Before she could deal with that, she turned and saw her 3 roommates' knowing eyes. Lisa grinned. It's good that he's gone. Now we can hold our inquisition. Confess. What have you been hiding from us? I told you, Ava said innocently, but seeing the increasingly grim expressions on their faces, she changed the subject and suggested, I'll treat you to lunch today. One meal obviously wouldn't solve the problem. Her roommates insisted that they had to hear all the gossip, which meant 2 meals. On the other side, Jake dragged the low-pressure Ryan to the university cafeteria and treated him to hot pot in the cafeteria. Ryan didn't say a word, his expression cold. It wasn't until they finished eating that he finally spoke. What did you want to talk to me about? Jake hesitated, looked around, and decided it was safe to talk. Ava is usually a bit of a scatterbrain, saying things without thinking, but if you get to know her, she has a lot of good qualities. Ryan frowned. Her good qualities are. Jake thought hard about what good qualities she had, feeling like a fake friend as he struggled to come up with something. Ryan slowly said, good grades, pays attention in class. Oh, right, good grades. Pretty lively. Oh, right, lively and energetic. Simple and straightforward. Oh, right, simple. Jake was embarrassed and vaguely confused. Was it because he hated her? That's why he knew her so well. But if he hated her, shouldn't he know her flaws? Ryan deliberately put down his chopsticks. So, what are you trying to tell me? Jake put it rather vaguely. What do you think of Ava? Since she has so many good qualities, isn't she pretty likable? Originally, he meant that he hoped Ryan would like her too, but that's not how Ryan took it. Ryan's pupils gradually darkened, and he smiled mockingly before quickly reverting to his cold demeanor. Are you done eating? Ryan said. I'll treat you next time. Ryan wasn't willing to accept any kindness from a rival. In the dimly lit woods, the sounds of a man and woman breathing intertwined faintly. Ava was being held on someone's lap. He seemed to like this position very much, because from that angle, he could move his lips wherever he wanted. Ava held the back of his head, her fingers interlacing in his hair, and Ava moaned softly. Ryan bit her hard, and Ava felt a sting of pain, which was immediately replaced by the mingling of saliva. His lips slid up her neck, each step with great force, finally landing on the corner of her mouth. After the saliva mixed, Ava felt pain and the faint taste of blood in her mouth. Ah, she said, covering her lips and looking at him with wet eyes, as if accusing him. Ryan wiped away the blood, his eyes showing satisfaction, like a beast that had finally gotten its fill. To get revenge, Ava deliberately buried her head and smeared the lipstick in blood on his white collar. Are you unhappy today? I'm happy now, Ryan said, stroking the top of her head, her soft black hair feeling like silk. What did Jake say to you? She asked curiously, looking up at him. Nothing, Ryan said. Regardless of whether Jake really liked her, he wasn't going to tell her. Just like he couldn't take 2 cold showers at the same time. He couldn't fall for the same rival twice. Having tasted the joy of being together, the blood at the corner of her mouth was no longer enough. He looked at her, the girl's innocent pupils like pure white flowers. The mere thought of Ava falling into someone else's arms made him want to mark her as his own. Ryan returned to his dormitory hall, where Jake was playing a game. Out of the corner of his eye, he suddenly saw the red mark on Ryan's white collar. Wait, he said, stunned, shouting at Ryan's back. What's that on you? Ryan turned around. Jake looked at it and was certain that it was lipstick and nothing else. Were you forcibly kissed by a girl? Or were you choked? Ryan looked down, having not noticed it before. Before he could say anything, Jake laughed. Have the female students these days become so open? I think it's okay, Ryan said. Jake blinked, then spotted a cut on Ryan's lip. This injury, not in any other place, not at any other time, but specifically today, when his collar was stained with lipstick, shocked Jake, and a terrifying thought flashed through his mind. Don't tell me, "You're dating," Jake said. "Yes," Ryan nodded, dropped a single word, and turned to go to the bathroom, leaving Jake stunned, and two roommates equally dumbfounded, who had jumped out of bed. "Do you believe it?" "No," they replied in unison. Ava waited for someone outside of New York University after class. Christmas was coming, and there were stalls selling overpriced apples everywhere on the street. Ava had always looked down on them, but now she was willing to be ripped off and bought 5. Ryan came out in his white BMW. Ava got in and touched the leather seats, exclaiming, "It's been a while." Back then, when she saw it, how could she have imagined that one day she would have the chance to sit in it? Ryan said, "If you like it, I can give it to you." His calm tone made it sound like he wasn't joking at all. Ava was startled and quickly said, "I'm kidding. No matter how rich we are, we can't spend money like that. You can't do that in the future." The words "we" in future made Ryan turn and smile softly, his eyes as if illuminated by the light of the setting sun. Ava took out the apples during dinner, offering him one like a treasure, a smile on her face. "I want to be the first person to give you Christmas apples." Ryan took it. "You don't have to go to so much trouble. I wouldn't accept Christmas apples from anyone else anyway." Ava smiled sweetly. His words were lonely, but especially touching. It was as if he had always been alone, but from now on, she would be involved. "Why did you buy 5?" Ryan asked. "Oh, one is for you, one is for Jake, and the other 3 are for my roommates," she said as if it were normal, not noticing Ryan's darkening mood. They ate dinner, watched a movie, and went shopping for gifts for her roommate's upcoming birthday. Her roommate called her, asking her to buy takeout from a stall outside of campus. Then she received a call from her counselor, saying that she needed to send a file and didn't have access to a computer, so Ava called Jake to ask for his help. Ryan parked the car in the shadows outside of New York University, looking ahead with a cold, patient gaze as he tapped on the steering wheel. After waiting for her to hang up the phone, he turned to her, and the girl's pupils were finally free of any other complexities. "Am I taking up our date time?" Ava asked softly. "No," Ryan said, lying, but his mood wasn't high. He stopped tapping the steering wheel and adjusted his seat back. Understanding, she scrambled over and sat on his lap. As if to appease him, she cupped his face and kissed him as soon as she sat down. In the dim light and enclosed space, their breathing became increasingly unsteady, pulling, sucking, gradually losing breath. Ryan's lips were damp, as were his fingertips. "What have you been angry about lately?" she asked softly, hugging him. "I'm not angry," he said, still lying. "You're lying," Ava pouted. "You can't lie to me. I know everything about you." Ryan found the analogy unexpected and amusing. Raising an eyebrow. "Even more than when we were naked in the hotel last time?" Ava's cheeks flushed instantly. "I'm talking about something serious." "You're the one who wouldn't let me talk about something serious," Ryan said. He leaned in to kiss her again, but she wouldn't let him, insisting on hearing the reason. Ryan was helpless. He looked at her for a moment before saying, "You're too patient with too many people." "What?" Ava was stunned. Birthday gifts, Christmas apples, takeout, sending files. Ryan looked at her. "You're so patient with everyone, so considerate to everyone. I'm just like one of them." She was the special and unique one in his life, but he wasn't in hers. That was why, even after they were together, he still felt like Jake was a threat. He didn't like these emotional fluctuations, but he didn't think they were necessary, so he had been sulking. He desperately hoped that she would be like him, only longing for one person. It only took Ava a second to understand what he meant. She looked at him with bright eyes in the darkness, hugging him and saying, "My legs are weak now. Can you just take me back to my dormitory hall later?" Ryan nodded in agreement, and she sent a message to Jake from the passenger seat. She knew that the white BMW would cause a stir when it drove up, so she wasn't surprised when she saw students taking pictures. "Wait for me for 5 minutes. I'm going upstairs to get something." Ava unbuckled her seatbelt, ignoring the gazes of her friends and running upstairs. 5 minutes later, she ran down, knocked on the driver's side window, and Ryan got out. As soon as someone recognized who the owner of the car was, gasps of surprise rang out around them. Ava held a small box, like a treasure, looked at him, and handed it over happily and proudly. "What is it?" Ryan hadn't opened it yet. "A Christmas gift." She blinked. "One of a kind." He leaned against the car door and opened it under the streetle. Eyed, his dark pupils reflecting the things inside the small box. An empty sports drink/Gatorade bottle, a familiar flyer, and a small piece of paper. The note read, "Mr. Surian, didn't you sleep well last night? Have a good dream tonight." A memory suddenly flashed through Ryan's mind. Perhaps on a sleepless night, when he was dizzy and not thinking straight, he had called Ava, but hung up immediately. The next morning, the dormitory hall monitor stopped him and said, "Young man, a girl bought you milk and breakfast." He was in a terrible mood, glanced at the note, and said to the monitor, "Please, take it." "Thank you." He didn't look at the lonely breakfast again. It was left with someone else, without even a glance from its intended recipient. Ava, who was standing at the entrance of the men's dormitory hall, witnessed the whole thing. She sadly retrieved the note and left the breakfast for the monitor. The note had a faint yellow tint and was carefully taped up and preserved, showing how cherished it was. He looked up at her. "Don't think I treat you differently," Ava said. "You've been different from others since long before you disliked me. You've always been different. I've liked you, probably longer than you know." Who liked whom first? What did it matter? He didn't care. He only cared that all his careful planning was also treasured by her. Ryan smiled, and whether it was the starlight or something else, Ava seemed to see tears in his eyes. She opened her eyes wide with curiosity, but he was about to lean down and kiss her in front of everyone. "Wait!" She pushed him slightly. Seeing Ryan's confusion, she looked towards the end of the dormitory hall street until she saw Jake's familiar figure. Then she smiled, took the initiative to put her arms around his neck, and kissed him on tiptoe. Poor Jake, still running, was critically hit. The two people he thought couldn't stand each other were making out right in front of him. What the F*******. Jake and his roommate were dumbfounded. "Hey," Ava said, "let me introduce you. This is my boyfriend. Don't bully him in the dormitory hall in the future." She could keenly sense that the man beside her, who didn't outwardly express his emotions, was experiencing an exponential increase in happiness. Many people thought he was unwilling to express himself, arrogant and indifferent, but Ava was the opposite. Just as she could read that he liked her, she could also read at every different stage, when he was happy, when he was angry, and when he was down. It wasn't a misperception.